to have a chat this morning through some points following on through from the 3 webinars that we did, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of the main points and a little bit of an update of what's going on with the Employee Rights Bill. And then hopefully we can share that with everybody, can't we?
Yeah, and I think it's also just things about what we're noticing out there, in practice with organisations and business owners that we're working with. Some of those things that they're asking us, projects that we've been involved in, what some of those calls are that we've been getting. Because there is a change in landscape at the moment. As you say, the Employment Rights Bill is part of it. And I think it's safe to say, don't panic on that right now, isn't it? Because, I don't know about you, but I'm hearing, SSP from day one changed in April. So last month, we're now in May 2025, but that hasn't transpired. I don't know if you've been getting those similar kind of comments.
Yeah, absolutely. There does seem to be quite a lot of panic around it, doesn't there? But I think the other thing is, obviously, with the increase in the national insurance contributions as well, having employees is a lot more expensive, which is, and just the economy in general at the moment, it's a challenging business.
It totally is.
When you're trying to adapt to that and look at ways of how you can meet that challenge and grow your business, or even just from a point of view of just protecting your business, a lot of people are now becoming much more aware and actually willing to take action. They want to preempt things rather than just waiting, which is great, because from an occupational health point of view, that's what I've been trying to push for years. That we need to be more proactive rather than just reacting. So it's good, but not from a panic point of view. There's no need to panic. The Employment Rights Bill, we're looking at the earliest next year, aren't we? There's no need to panic from that point of view.
Oh, 100% agree. Yeah, I mean, there are things that, when we say don't panic, it's don't panic right now. It's not, we're not hitting that red button and you've got to make changes right now. But there are definitely things that companies should be looking at, right? We've got, the bill is working its way through the Houses of Parliament. It's made its way through the Commons. It's now in the House of Lords. There could still be tweaks to it, let's be honest, because that can happen. I can't imagine, unless you think otherwise, I can't imagine anything particularly major is probably just some of the finite details. But I do think, it is possible, although the vast majority, I don't see it coming in until 2026. There are things that could come in this autumn.
Yeah.
Potentially SSP from day one. That could
potentially come in. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's where, companies that I'm working with, and some of the comments that I've seen out there is companies are less willing to let things slide now.
Yeah.
In terms of on the sickness side, performance. So, getting involved in disciplinaries, absence reviews. They're not, as you say, partly it's because of cost. And on the HR side, I'm getting more involved in those conversations and helping businesses, navigate their way through that emergency situation they typically have, in terms of, I just want to get rid of this person. Okay, how I can help work their way through that.
Yeah.
But I guess on the Occ Health side of thing, it's a similar kind of situation.
Yeah, it's interesting, because it sounds like we're getting similar issues coming up on the calls that we're having. And it, like I say, that just taking some form of action, that's the biggest change. Usually businesses and managers have kicked the can down the road and thought, I can deal with that. They're off on sick. We'll deal with that whenever. And it wasn't uncommon. It still isn't occasionally for me to have a referral of a person that's been off sick for over a year. But now it's much sooner than that. We're just in that period. We've gone past the short-term sickness absence. We're bordering on long-term. And we want to know what the prognosis is. We want to know, how do we get this person back to work? what should we be doing, how can we support. And even if that is somebody who has a role in which, you know, there is a safety element as well, there's now that preemptive you know, mitigating the risk factor coming in. So we're doing a lot more pre-employment assessments than we ever have.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Because actually there isn't, in law, an employee doesn't have to tell an employer of an existing condition.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can have something like epilepsy, you can have depression, whatever it may be, physical and mental health. And you don't actually have to tell your employer, which then becomes a bit of an issue down the road, especially in safety critical roles. So employers are now thinking, well, it's not a case of we won't employ that person, but we want to know the full picture and what support can we actually manage to put the support in place that they need to do their job.
That's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the minute you become aware of that condition, right from, you know, in interview all the way through that employment of that individual, you then have a statutory duty to make those adjustments, the reasonable adjustments that are appropriate for the role, the organisation, the team, you know, several different factors, the location, the office that you're in. If you're in an office, if you're in a factory, there's a whole bunch probably of other considerations to bring in. It is an interesting one. And, you know, on the HR side, I would then be thinking, well, what could potentially be reasonable in this situation? You know, there are several things you've got to take into account, one of which is, of course, the individual, but then we've got to figure out, well, for this size business in this industry, what makes sense? What would the reasonable person do in this situation? It's not an easy it's not an easy decision to make. There are different factors, but that's where, you know, working with an HR advisor partner like myself and an occupational health advisor and partner like yourself can really help navigate through that.
Absolutely. It's having the full information, isn't it? It's having all that information to then go, we can actually reasonable is the key word.
Correct.
And as we said in the webinars, it's not occupational health that decides that. It would be you and the business that decide that. So if you have you being HR and the business itself, if you have all the information on somebody's medical condition, so you know what they need, and then you can decide, actually, as a business, is this feasible? Can we actually do this? Can we provide it? So I think that's something we will see more of. I agree. I would suggest over the next year, I think. Certainly go on.
Yeah, no, sorry, Jenny. I was just going to say, and I think it's partly because of what the changes are coming down, but also I think, you know, it's just the nature of where we are in the UK. You know, there are it's not just one thing that's coming at businesses. There are several different things, you know, challenging economic environment. We've got the geopolitical stuff happening with, you know, if you're exporting goods to the US, well, I feel for them right now. You know, so there's several different things going on for businesses, particularly small and medium. Yes, larger get the same impact, but they've got more opportunity maybe to make adjustments and you know, I'm doing this because it is kind of you know, you're moving the chess pieces around the board, whereas if you're a small or medium business, you haven't got the same kind of luxury.
No, absolutely not.
So, you know, so it's about getting that right support and advice as early on. Don't sit on it, worry yourself sick about something. Give us a call and we'll help you work your way through that and make sure you're, you know, certainly from our perspectives, considering the angles that you need to, and maybe giving you some ideas and thoughts you hadn't considered already.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing is we're seen, aren't we, as being HR and OH, that we're scary and we're going to come in and tell you what to do and find fault. it's not that. We are approachable. We very much, that's the whole point of
Yeah.
doing all the webinars we've done. And we're there for small businesses. We're there to support. It doesn't matter if you've only got one employee or you've got 50 employees. We are there, and we will give you that level of service that's tailored to you.
Yeah.
You know, just pick up the phone or send us an email, have a chat. Don't get stuck in, you know, the merry-go-round of not making decisions, not having conversations, and being too afraid to take action, because it doesn't get
Yeah.
better, it gets worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And as you say, you know, we both tailor our support to those organisations, are very much their partner. You know, we support, we help, we guide, sit alongside them. We don't take away that, you know, the real accountability in that business, because it's their business. We're there to make sure that they're able to achieve the aim that they're going for, but our approach might be slightly different to the one that they had envisioned. But that's part of that journey. We, you
Yeah.
know, we're not going to take over, but we are there to advise and counsel and guide, and ultimately there to help those business owners achieve their aims.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. We're all business owners, so we know what
Yeah,
it's like, and we know that it's a challenge out there at the moment. It's stressful enough, so why add more stress?
100%.
Nobody's
Yes.
expecting a manager or a business owner to be a health professional and know everything. Nobody's expecting them to know from a HR perspective. That's our job, and we're
Yeah.
very much there to help. And it's about having honest conversations. And both of us, we're practical. We live in the real world. And if you come to us and say, actually, this isn't working, we do need to exit this employee, fine, as long as we know that's where we're wanting to go, but there is a process to that, and we have to follow it appropriately.
Yeah. Yeah, and even if it's not, if the end result that they're heading towards isn't exit and it's support
Yeah,
and recuperate and rehabilitate back into the workplace, that's the best
yeah,
outcome in my mind, because you know, for the business as well as the employee, you know, the employee is back being a, you know, can contribute again to the business, and the business hopefully will then have a really engaged, positive, and wanting to do the best for the organization. So I don't, you know, there isn't all, there's usually more than one approach that you can take, and what we do is help identify what those options are, make the recommendation for them to consider. So we're very much there, whole, you know, we're there beside them to help.
absolutely. I've had cases in the past where a business owner has come and said, actually, I can't see we could make any adjustments to help this person stay in work. We've
Mm.
assessed, we've provided all that information, both from the employee and the employer, and actually we have managed to find a way to
Yeah.
help them stay in work, because I'm coming at it from a different angle. You see things differently often when you're in the middle of it. You can't see how
Yes.
on earth I can't support them anymore. But often there are just simple tweaks that we can make that make a huge difference.
100%. Yeah. So I think it's fair to say for both of us, you know, if an organisation's got an emergency situation where they're looking for help right now, they've maybe got a project going on that they need some support with, or if it's an ongoing, you know, relationship partnering, uh, that we can both provide that. So we'll add our contact details at the end so that folks can get in touch with us whenever they need us. But you know, I think the upshot of this for me is they're not alone. They can get the support that they need, and that tailored support, more importantly, when at the right time when they need it. So they are not alone.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Thank you for watching this video podcast brought to you by the HR Department, Carlisle and Morecambe, in collaboration with Linear Health Occupational Health Solutions. We hope you enjoyed watching and listening to our conversation. On the screen, you will see contact details for both of us that presented today. And if you'd like to catch more updates, insight, conversation, and HR employment law content, please take a look at the HR department, Carlisle and Morecambe's YouTube channel. Subscribe today and you'll receive more content as it's released. Have a great day.